Welcome to Indie Game Month Day 14. Today we are going to create Passpartout, the Starving Artist. This game is all about being an artist and trying to make a name for yourself, so that's something I feel like I can definitely relate to. It's also really cool because you physically draw the paintings that you sell in the game, which I feel like is a really unique style of gameplay that I haven't seen before. Now this is actually my first time making a full body armature character. I've messed around with wires before, but I've never quite done the full armature before. But I feel pretty hopeful about it. I think this armature looks pretty good. For this figure, I want to start from the ground up. So I'm going to start by creating some shoes. Now this character seems to be some type of wooden puppet, so we have to make a lot of wooden details all over the figure. I basically just separate it into some planks and add in little squiggles, and I feel like this looks pretty good. I also baked this figure multiple times throughout creating it, and I'm not going to show all of those baking times, but after I created the shoes I baked it, after I created the legs, the body, and just kept repeating baking to make sure that it stays nice and stable and I don't lose any of the details, because I feel like if I didn't bake the shoes right away when I was working on these legs, I would have really messed up the details on the shoes. The legs on this character sort of look like hinges, so I'm just going to try to carve this in, and I think that looks pretty good. We can add some wood detail into the legs. I would say this is going to be the most detailed creation of all Indie Game Month. At least with everything I've made up to this point, this is by far the most detailed. Taking some white clay for the body, which is mostly going to be covered up, so it doesn't really matter if it gets messy. I think the hardest part about creating an armature was making the arms. It was really hard to get the clay to be evenly across it, and the wire kept poking out, so I was thinking maybe using a thinner wire would work out better. We have this, what looks to be like a doctor's coat. I guess maybe some painters wear this, although I have never seen this before. After we trim this into shape, we can fold down the collar. I decided to paint the black stripes on the shirt instead of using clay. I think the separate layers of clay would kind of stand out from each other too much. And well, this didn't work out so well, so let's just paint the whole thing black. And we can try again by taking some white paint and creating the stripes on top of that. First, let's get his jacket into place and we can throw it into the oven. The whole process of painting these stripes was pretty annoying. It was just going back and forth, touching up black and white, because I would accidentally get black onto the white, so I'd have to fix that, and some of that white would get on the black, and it was just a repeating process that took way too long. However, with that being said, I am really happy with the result of how this turned out. I think that it's actually a really smooth, nice paint job. I made these sleeves to be just a little bit too long, so I'm trimming these down, and we'll be adding on some arms in just a minute. First, let's add in the neck. This character's skin is green, and seems to have some type of a melon for a head. It also has these lines in it like the rest of the body, so I'm sure it is actually wood, but the green color really reminds me of a melon. I'm indenting a little bit of a smile because this character is nice and happy to be painting. Now let's make some eyes into this melon head. And we have a tiny little black dot for the center of the eye. As if he didn't look weird enough already, we have a bright red nose. Let's start working on the hair details. First we have the eyebrows, and now we can work on the hair. This is actually my favorite part of the character. I feel like it's just a really weird hairstyle, but it looks really cool inside of the beanie, which we'll create in just a minute. After adding the texture into the hair, this is the beanie. Now I want to make it so it looks like it's really formed onto his head, so I'm adding this extra little worm onto it and blending that on with the hat. And as you can see, this has a nice fabric look and it fits onto the shape of the head very nicely. So let's get this onto the neck, but I'm actually going to take this off and bake it separately because I feel like it's just going to get kind of lopsided in the oven. Taking some more of the green, we can start working on the arms. This was a little bit tricky to get them into place with the arms also being smooth. I kept having the wires poke out, sort of like the top part of the arm. To cover up the seam, I'm adding a little bit of fold in the shirt. Now we can start working on my worst nightmare, hands. I've always hated making hands, and for many years I've just completely avoided them at all costs. But I think these hands actually turned out really well. Now we are ready to get baked. We can place the head onto Passpartout, and we can start working on his little props. First we have a painting palette with all of his different colors of paint. Let's add some nice wood texture into it. And a little thumb hole in the middle, which will definitely help him hold it up. Now let's create a nice little mini paintbrush, and we'll add some paint onto that after we attach it into his hand. After baking those, we can take some paint and start making some little splotches on it. I thought of doing this with clay at first, but I'm really glad I chose to do paint. Let's get that into his hand using some super glue, and we can move on to the paintbrush. I also used just a little dot of super glue on this, and now a nice little coating of red paint. Now what I think is the most fun part of this sculpture is we need to make paint splotches all over him. And I think this is a really nice, unique, cool detail on a character. Although I am a little curious how he got so much paint on his body. The times that I've painted things, I've never got it anywhere besides my fingers. I started off by using all of the colors that are on the palette, but then I added in a few new colors because I figured he was probably painting multiple different days and used a pretty big variety of colors. I also wanted to add some paint into his hair and onto his hat. There's a splotch of white paint here, which I guess there's probably a lot of white paint on his coat as well, but you really can't see that because his coat is white. After the last few finishing touches on the hair, here it is, Passpartout, the Starving Artist. I hope you all enjoyed today's video. This was a huge learning experience and I had a lot of fun. Make sure to check out the playlist at the end of the video, which is updated every day with a new indie game character. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.